Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivanadare Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivanadare Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Gurudev Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading this morning from Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto number 4, chapter 28, verse 37. And the title of the chapter is Pranjana Becomes a Woman in the Next Life. Shitoshna Vatavarshani Shut Pipashe Priya 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 Priye Shuka Dukkha Iti Dvani Ajayat Samadarshanaha Shitoshna Vatavarshani Shut Pipase Priya Priye Sukaduke Ite Dvandvani Ajayat Samadarshanaha Shitoshna Vatavarshani Priya Priye Duke Priya Shitoshna Vatavarshani Shittadashe Priya Priye Adayat Samadarshana Shitoshna Sukaduke Bandhana Adayat Samadarshana Shitoshna Vatavarshani Shitapapase Priya Priye Ladies? Any ladies? Shitoshna Vatavarshani Shitapapase Priya Priye Shukaduke Vandanya Jajat Samadarshanaha. Word for word. Shita, cold. Ushna, heat. Vata, wind. Varshani, and rainy seasons. Kshut, hunger. Papase, and thirst. Priya, pleasant. Apriye, and unpleasant. Sukha, happiness. Dukke, and distress. Iti, thus. Dvandvani, dualities. Ajayat, he conquered. Samadarshanaha, equipoised. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Through austerity, King Maladwaja, in body and mind, gradually became equal to the dualities of cold and heat, happiness and distress, wind and rain, hunger and thirst, the pleasant and the unpleasant. In this way, he conquered all relativities. Purport. Should I read slower so you have time? It's okay? Okay. Liberation means becoming free from the relativities of the world. Unless one is self-realized, he has to undergo the dual struggle of the relative world. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to conquer all relativities through tolerance. Lord Krishna points out that it is the relativities like winter and summer that give us trouble in the material world. In the winter, we do not like taking a bath, but in the summer, we wish to take a bath twice, thrice, or more a day. Thus, Krishna advises us not to be disturbed by such relativities and dualities when they come and go. The common man has to undergo much austerity to become equipoised before dualities. One who becomes agitated by the relativities of life has accepted a relative position and must therefore undergo the austerities prescribed in the Shastras to transcend the material body and put an end to material existence. King Malayadvaja underwent severe austerities by leaving his home, going to Kulakala, taking his bath in the sacred rivers, and eating only vegetables like stems, roots, seeds, flowers, and leaves, avoiding any cooked food or grains. These are very, very austere practices. In this age, it is very difficult to leave home and go to the forest or the Himalayas to adopt the processes of austerity. Indeed, it is almost impossible. If one is even advised to give up meat eating, drinking, gambling, and illicit sex, one will fail to do so. What then would a person do if he went to the Himalayas or Kulakala? Such acts of renunciation are not possible in this age. Therefore, Lord Krishna has advised us to accept the Bhakti Yoga process. Bhakti Yoga will automatically liberate a person from the dualities of life. In Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is the center, and Krishna is always transcendental. Thus, in order to transcend dualities, one must always engage in the service of the Lord, as confirmed by Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vyapicharena bhakti yogena sevata sagunam samatityaitam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. If one is factually engaged in the service of the Lord, Bhakti Yoga, he will automatically control his senses, his tongue, and so many other things. Once engaged in the Bhakti Yoga process with all sincerity, one will have no chance of falling down. Even if one falls down, there is no loss. One's devotional activities may be stunned or choked for the time being, but as soon as there is another chance, the practitioner begins from the point where he left off. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoshtute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Triyubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Good morning. Thank you all for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. I'm not very scholarly, so I pray that you may all bless me, that I may say something that is relevant to your spiritual life and that may support you in your processes. Imam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vishchachideshtarane. This is a really awesome verse. Kind of is a culmination of a lot of Bhagavad Gita. Conquering the dualities of the material world. Performing austerities. In this age of Kali Yuga, there are a lot of austerities automatically coming to us. Not just from the outside, but a lot of the austerities are coming from right here. We got to walk around inside this world. It's very austere. In fact, I would say one of the most austere circumstances for a soul is a soul being inside of a material body and a material mind in the age of Kali Yuga. That's probably one of the most austere conditions there is for the soul. Animals, they are entrapped, and they suffer, but they're not conscious that they suffer. Human beings, we have pains that cause us suffering, but then we kind of complicate and add more suffering because we suffer about the suffering. We suffer over our suffering. So there may be pain, and then we suffer about that pain. So Krishna's given us this process of bhakti yoga, and it's a simple process. It's very simple. And yet, this is really complicated. The human mind is a very interesting and complicated instrument. So, how many of you have phones and computers? Mostly everybody has a phone and a computer, right? Phones and computers, like, can any of you make a phone or computer? Maybe some of you can program a phone or computer. But they're really kind of complex machines. And, you just push little things and all of a sudden all these things pop up on the screen. Very interesting. Well, this mind is so much more complicated than a phone or a computer. So much more complicated. Now, when you have a computer, usually you maybe get a manual with the computer, or you have a friend who knows the computer or a friend who knows you the phone and can show you around a little bit, right? Show you what to do and what not to do, what buttons to push. this mind operates a lot on the subtle platform, really invisible. It's invisible. It's doing things, and our buttons are being pushed invisibly, and we're invisibly almost reacting. Things are popping up on our screens, pop-up ads popping up all over the place. And we don't even know how they got there or what buttons got pushed. So it's helpful for us to understand our own mind. It's helpful for us to have a sense of what kind of things our mind is telling us. When we can hear the repetitive voices in the mind that tell us things, I don't like this, oh, I like this, right? Accepting and rejecting, right? The nature of the mind. When we can tune in on those specific custom-made voices that run us, we can get to know a little bit about our triggers, what triggers us. Dualities in the material world really have us seeing the world black and white. This is what a devotee looks like, and this isn't what a devotee looks like. This is what a brahmachari looks like. This is what a grihastra looks like. And we kind of really, we compartmentalize things so much into black and white. We put ourselves and others in boxes. The material world, the material mind, is a place of boxes. We compartmentalize things. And then we think we know, okay, this devotee, he's like this, and she's like that, and we put them in a box, and we relate to them as we perceive their box. This one's always late, they procrastinate, this one is sentimental, or blah, blah, whatever category we put them in, and we relate to them as the box. This perpetuates the material realm because we're relating to people as their false covering. We're relating to them as their ego. We're relating to them as their mind. And we're not honing in and being able to touch that soul that is trapped in this overwhelmingly, sometimes complicated machine. Now, if we take some time to get to know our own machinery and connect with our own self, that maybe can give us some access to connecting with others. A lot of times, and I would have to say in my own life, devotional service is out here. I do a lot of things, and I get a lot of things done, and I produce a lot of results, and I give money to the temple, and I'm keeping myself really busy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then I get angry or frustrated or upset, and I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to do with it. Wait a minute, I'm doing all the right things out here. I'm following the principles. I'm chanting. How can I possibly get upset? I'm following the process of bhakti. In my experience, it's helpful for us to understand our own machinery. It's helpful for us to understand the buttons that trigger us, the things that upset us. It's helpful for us to get underneath to the programming that set that up and see it as programming and not take it so seriously. If a pop-up ad comes on the screen, you just exit out. You don't freak out. How dare you come in my space Why did you do that? You just exit out. So relationships is really important. And duality keeps us separate. Right and wrong, good and bad. You're good, you're bad. I'm right, you're wrong. This separates us. It separates us from Krishna. Even when we make ourselves wrong, I am so wrong. We are identifying with that temporary part of us that's conditioned. And the more we identify with that and resist that, I am so fallen. I'm so conditioned. When we identify with that, it really is depressing. It behooves us to remember that Krishna made us in his likeness. Krishna gave us all his qualities. Maybe not all 100%, but we have the qualities of Krishna. And we have them not in the same quantity, but we have those qualities. When we identify those qualities inside of us, especially the ones that inspire us, and start practicing those qualities despite what our troubled mind and our conditioning tell us, we actually strengthen the muscles of who we really are, those muscles that have atrophied from neglect. And we take our focus off of the temporary and off of the mundane, and we focus on the reality. Duality is hard and very relative. Reality is very deep and broad and rich. Reality is what a devotee lives in. A devotee is equipoised because in the bigger reality, we are a part of Krishna. In the bigger reality, we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. In the bigger reality, I'm not a woman and you're not men. In a bigger reality, all those false identifications fall away. Now, it's not that we don't take into consideration the relativities. Certainly, we take those into consideration, and those relativities help us to practice, because it's like an obstacle course. We have to maneuver around the relativities and try to find Krishna within all those relativities. Where are you, Krishna? I can't seem to see you right now. Where are you? Duality is very hard and very harsh. I'm right and you are wrong. Even as devotees, sometimes we are righteous to those who are not practicing the way we are. I am doing the good things and the right things, and you are so bad. Maybe we could see, this person is so covered, they're suffering so much, they can't even hear what I'm saying. Can I say something simple enough that I can touch their heart, rather than trying to make an artificial imposition on their mind, which is not ready for that? So Krishna consciousness is appropriate. It's not right or it's not wrong. Bhakti yoga is appropriate for this age of Kali Yuga. When we practice opening our eyes, when we practice looking at a bigger perspective, we see so much more, and then we can act in different ways. When we keep our straw of expectations, when we keep our perspective so tiny and so tight. We miss all of this that Krishna's trying to show us. And we miss all the ways Krishna's trying to communicate and teach us to learn. Now, this story is about Puranjana becoming a woman in the next life. We will have a next life because we're eternal. We're going to have some kind of a next life. This life, in this human form of life, is such an opportunity. It's like a gift. It's a precious gift. It's a blessing. But we spend a lot of time being distracted, beating ourselves up, being right, making others wrong. We spend a lot of time being distracted from service from our heart. It's an opportunity for us to prepare for our next life. In the purport, at the end of the purport, it says, when we practice bhakti yoga, we won't fall down. And then in the next verse, it says, next sentence, it says, if we do fall down, there is no loss or diminution. We can always fall down. We can always fall down because Krishna gave us free will. Krishna gave us free choice. The more we associate with who we are and the reality of the gift that we've been given, the more we engage in the process of bhakti yoga. It says here that when you practice bhakti yoga, let me see if I can find the exact words. Bhakti yoga will automatically liberate a person from the dualities of life. So sometimes we think, I'm engaged in bhakti yoga, so automatically all these things will just happen automatically. What I glean from this sentence is like, in the moment that we're actually practicing bhakti yoga, that we're actually seeing the bigger picture, that we're actually speaking from our heart, and that we're actually serving unmotivated by any conditioning, in that moment, we feel liberated. We feel it. We feel elated. We feel light. So in the moments that you feel light, you can think, maybe I am practicing. In the moments that you feel heavy and you feel frustration, we need to seek out and search out what is distracting me from really practicing bhakti yoga in this moment. Krishna consciousness and bhakti yoga is a moment-by-moment practice. At every moment, we have a choice of how to utilize our free will. At every moment, we have that choice. The moments that we choose powerfully, we see some result. The moments we act from ego, from our mind, when we react, another reaction will come right at us, probably that matches our reaction. And then in that moment, we have a choice. Am I going to react back? Or am I going to choose to really see deeper here? We have that choice at every moment. Krishna gives us free will at every moment. He never takes it away. So the biggest austerity, this verse is about austerity, the biggest austerity is for us to be awake and for us to be present. When am I practicing and when aren't I practicing? When am I really seeing and when am I being covered over? And when we can admit that, or at least admit that to ourselves, or look at that, in the moment that we notice, oh, I am seeing this person as a burden and a frustration, and I'm just going to get rid of them. Okay, so I'm the one that's feeling frustrated here. Maybe there's something going on in me that I need to look at. Why am I so frustrated? Maybe that says something about my level of Krishna consciousness. And then we don't have to turn around and beat ourselves up that, oh, I'm so bad that I'm frustrated. But why am I so frustrated? What am I attached to in this moment that is causing me disturbance? Well, I'm attached to my opinion, or I'm attached to this person listening to me, or I'm attached to this person understanding what I'm saying. And as soon as we distinguish the attachment, we can say, okay, can I say this in another way? Can I communicate in another way? Can I reach out in another way? Can I let go of that attachment in this moment? Can I forgive this person? Can I forgive myself? And in that moment, you are liberated. So it's a moment-by-moment choice. It's a moment-by-moment practice. It happens automatically when you practice, and it's a continual practice. It's not like we get to this place where we no longer have to practice. Krishna is asking all his devotees, even in the spiritual world, to continue growing, continue expanding their ability to serve and love. He asks the gopis to grow. He leaves the gopis and he asks them to grow. It's an eternal process because relationship is eternally growing. If something is not growing, what's it doing? When you look at the trees outside, if you look at Tulsi, she's either growing or what? She's what? She's dying. You're either growing or you're dying. If you're not growing, you're actually dying. Even if parts of the branches get brown, those branches have died. So growth is an eternal process, and it's a wonderful process. And even Krishna is ever expanding, right? He's ever growing, right? And we're his parts and parcels. So it's not like we get Krishna consciousness in a box and we got it. We can't get it. We can't possess Krishna or Krishna consciousness like that. We're always seeking, where are you, Krishna? What do you want from me now? How can I grow now? What can I do today that would serve you? Like that. And always asking that question. When we ask ourselves questions, it helps us to grow. When we think that we know, the doors are shut. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I don't know if there's time for questions, but you run the show. You let me know. Is there time for questions? Or yes? Okay. So if there's any questions or comments or additions or corrections, please, I make mistakes. I'm open for correction. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So this verse says, Sukha Dukhe Ajiyat Samandarasana, that he was equipoised in Sukha Dukha. But your name is Sukhavaha.
I know.
One who brings happiness, not distress. So how to explain this?
Well, I have been given the name Sukhavaha, Dasi, by Srila Prabhupada. And I have been Dukkavaha for many decades. I have been miserable and doing all the right things and ending up miserable. So I've learned that joy, real joy, comes from within. It's not anything that we can grab from outside. Not at all. External things may make us happy temporarily, a quick fix, but they're not the joy of the soul. So I'm still working on connecting with who I really am as Sukhavaha, but I notice that the more I connect with that part of me, the Dukkavaha disappears, because that's not who I really am.
No, your name is Sukhavaha. This Sukh is transcendental happiness of devotional service. This is not the material happiness, transcendental
joy,
happiness
transcendental
of devotional
bliss.
service.
Yes. So anyway, I'm still practicing to live into that name.
We expect this happiness from you.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, I better be conscious then. Thank you so much. Thank you. I did notice that was in that verse, that it passed by my head. Any other questions or comments, please? Please. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class and
Yes.
Thank you for the class.
Thank you.
So Mataji, I was just curious to know. I'm curious to know what inspires you most in Srila Prabhupada that made you connected to this movement for 40, 50 years, and what made you keep going?
The Bhagavad Gita, as it is. I received the Bhagavad Gita. I actually didn't receive it. A friend of mine in college who wasn't even a devotee had the book and showed it to me one night, and I was like, as soon as I touched the book and looked at the pictures, I was like, oh my God, this is so cosmic, it's so far out, this is what I've been looking for. I must have had some association with Bhagavad Gita in my last life. But anyway, I went out and bought 5 copies before I even read the book. So it was Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita that really inspired me and touched my heart. And I'm still working on Bhagavad Gita. I'm not really scholarly or anything like that, but if I can live even one verse in Bhagavad Gita, I feel I've made great advancement in this life, so I'm still working on that. So that's what Prabhupada's words, so potent that they can come out of a book and reach and touch your heart. So much potency from his books. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to the assembled devotees. If anybody has any other questions, or if anybody wants to get a book, I'll be here for a little bit. So, Hare Krishna. Oh, yes, please. With the backpack. The white bag underneath, yeah. There you go. That's it. Do you have some donation you can give for the book? Yeah? Okay. Well, I asked for 300 rupees if that's possible. Do you have a pen? I think I might have one. Wait, I have one. I think I have one. Do I have one? No, I have none. Thank you. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 300. 3 did that. At some point in my existence. Right. Well, and we do that sometimes when we've been in Krishna consciousness a long time, too. It's the nature of the mind. It's the nature of the material realm. But we're in Krishna consciousness to get out of that material consciousness, to get out of that material realm. So when we notice we're doing that, it's like, that's material duality, that's material consciousness. Let me put that over here and see, Krishna, how do you want me to serve in this moment? What would be the appropriate thing to say? And if you pause that much, you might get an answer. But usually it's just instantaneous, right? At least try to, at least practice doing it. It's not like you're going to do it all the time, because we're so conditioned. We're conditioned since time. But every time you practice doing that, you can have a different exchange with someone, even someone that you're having real difficulty with. Put that aside, speak in a different way, put that conception over here, and it's amazing. You can see a person in a different way, and then you'll think, wow, why didn't I see that before? We're souls, and we're struggling in this material realm, and then we're pushing others down or pushing others away and actually increasing their struggle. Because we're struggling. So we really need to contend with how we're struggling and really untangle our own struggle. And then, when we're not struggling, we don't impose our struggle on someone else. So the work is almost always in here, and the more we, I'm frustrated, I'm struggling, I'm upset. We mostly put that out on others or blame others for our own struggle instead of contending with what is it that I'm attached to? What's going on here? What am I telling myself? What am I thinking? All the work is in here. When we change this, the whole world changes. And we don't have to change one person except this one. And this is actually the only person we're responsible for changing. It's the only person we have at least some kind of a possibility of a minute control over. We have some